Listen, I need you to hear this with more than your ears, because most people hear motivation, but very few receive it. You don't lack information. You don't lack talent. You don't lack opportunity. What you lack is hunger. Real hunger doesn't make noise. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't post online. Hunger shows up early. Hunger stays late. Hunger works when nobody is watching. And right now, if we're being honest, you say you want it, but you don't want it bad enough. You want success the way you want comfort. You want growth the way you want rest. You want change, but only if it's convenient. And life doesn't respond to convenience. Life responds to commitment. See, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants the results. Everybody wants the lifestyle. But very few people want the process. And the process is lonely. The process is repetitive. The process is uncomfortable. That's why most people quit. Not because they can't do it, but because they refuse to become the person who can. Let me say that again. You don't fail because you're incapable. You fail because you won't upgrade your identity. You keep trying to get a new life with an old mindset. It doesn't work. You can't pray for elevation while protecting your excuses. You can't ask for more while giving minimum effort. You can't demand greatness while living casually. Casual effort produces casual results, and casual results produce regret. Look at your daily routine. That's your real priority list. Not what you say you want, not what you talk about. What you do every day is who you are becoming. And if your days are undisciplined, your future will be chaotic. You don't drift into success. You drift into failure. Success is intentional. It's waking up when your body says, stay. It's working when your mind says, later. It's pushing when your emotions say, stop. Most people obey their feelings. That's why their feelings control their lives. But discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline asks, what needs to be done? And when you finally understand that, everything changes. Because now you're no longer waiting to feel ready. You're no longer waiting to feel confident. You're no longer waiting for motivation. You move because you decided. Decision is power. But here's the part nobody warns you about. Once you decide to change, life will test you immediately. Distractions will increase. Doubts will get louder. Comfort will call your name. And the people around you, they'll stay the same. Some will support you. Many will mock you. Most will quietly hope you fail, so they don't have to question themselves. And that's when you must choose. Do you want approval, or do you want progress? Because you can't have both. Growth requires separation. You'll spend nights alone, mornings misunderstood, effort unrecognized. And if you're doing it right, you'll feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is not a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you're changing. Weak minds run from discomfort. Strong minds use it. Pain is not your enemy. Comfort is. Comfort keeps you average. Comfort keeps you distracted. Comfort keeps you dreaming instead of doing. And the scariest thing in life is not failure. It's waking up one day realizing you never tried hard enough. You had potential. You had time. But you chose ease. Don't let that be your story. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Consistency beats talent. Consistency beats motivation. Consistency beats excuses. Every small action matters. Every decision counts. Every day is a vote. A vote for discipline or a vote for delay. And delay is expensive. Costs confidence. Costs momentum. Costs self-respect. You don't lose self-respect all at once. You lose it every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is a lie we tell ourselves to feel better about inaction. Winners don't live in tomorrow. They live in now. Now is uncomfortable. Now is demanding. Now requires effort. But now is where life is built. So ask yourself this honestly. How long are you going to keep playing small? How long are you going to keep negotiating with yourself? How long are you going to keep knowing better, but doing nothing? Because the world doesn't owe you anything. Life is not waiting for you. Time is moving. And either you move with intention, or you get left behind. This is not a threat. It's a reality. And the moment you accept it, you stop complaining and you start building. That's where real transformation begins. Listen to me carefully. This part right here, this is where most people disappear. Not because they're weak, not because they're incapable, but because this is the stage where motivation has already left the room. The excitement is gone. The applause is gone. The support is quiet. And all that's left is you and your habits. See, anybody can start strong. Anybody can feel inspired for a week. Anybody can talk big when emotions are high. But when the feelings fade, when progress slows down, when results don't come fast, that's when reality shows up. And reality asks you one question. Who are you when nobody is watching? Because that version of you, that's the real you. Not the version on social media. Not the version that talks about goals. Not the version that shows up once in a while. The real you is revealed. In the quiet moments. In the tired moments. In the boring, repetitive, uncomfortable moments. And let me be honest with you. Most people don't quit loudly. They quit silently. They don't announce it. They don't admit it. They just start showing up less. They start caring less. They start settling. They lower their standards, so they don't have to raise their effort. And that's dangerous, because when you lower your standards, your life follows. See, discipline isn't loud. Discipline doesn't hype you up. Discipline is lonely. Discipline is boring. Discipline is doing the same thing, over and over again, with no guarantee of applause. And that's why discipline builds kings, while motivation builds starters. You don't become elite by doing what's easy. You become elite by doing what's necessary, long after it stops feeling exciting. Let me tell you something powerful. Your future doesn't care how tired you are today. Your dreams don't care how bad your day was. Your goals don't adjust themselves to your mood, and life doesn't pause because you're overwhelmed. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And once you accept that, you stop asking life to be easier, and you start becoming stronger. See, this stage of the journey requires a different level of honesty. You have to stop lying to yourself. Stop saying, I'm trying, when you're not consistent. Stop saying, I want it, when your actions say otherwise. Stop saying, I don't have time, when you give hours to distractions. Time isn't missing. Priorities are. And whatever you make time for is what you truly value. Let that sit. Because deep down, you already know where you're cheating. You know the excuses you keep recycling. You know the habits you refuse to break. You know the comfort zones you protect. And comfort zones feel safe until they cost you your potential. Nothing kills dreams faster than comfort. Comfort whispers lies, tells you, you can do it tomorrow. You deserve a break. You've already done enough. But comfort never tells you the truth. The truth is, you haven't done enough yet. Not because you're failing, but because greatness demands more. And greatness doesn't negotiate. Greatness doesn't care about your feelings. Greatness doesn't care about fairness. Greatness doesn't care about your past. It only responds to effort. Consistent, relentless, unexcused effort. And that's why this phase hurts. Because now you're forced to choose between who you are and who you said you wanted to become. You can't be both. You can't keep the same habits and expect a different life. You can't keep the same mindset and expect a higher level. Transformation requires separation. New life requires letting go of old behaviors, old thinking, old friends, old routines. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is. But pain with purpose is better than comfort with regret. Let me say that again. Pain with purpose is better than comfort with regret. Regret is quiet but heavy. It sits with you at night. It reminds you of chances you ignored and effort you avoided. Pain, on the other hand, is loud but temporary. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're investing in a future version of yourself that will thank you. But understand this, discipline doesn't mean you feel strong. Discipline means you move, even when you feel weak. Strength is not the absence of struggle. Strength is action in the presence of struggle. That's the difference. See, you don't rise when things get easy. You rise when things get hard, and you refuse to quit. That refusal, that decision, that inner stand, that's what separates champions from spectators. Spectators talk.
Champion train.
Spectators wait.
Champion prépare.
Spectators complain.
Champion adjuste.
And champions don't ask, "Is this fair?" They ask, "What does this require?" And then they pay the price. Every single day. Not once. Not when they feel like it. Daily. Because consistency compounds. One disciplined day doesn't change your life, but disciplined days stack together. Build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds identity. And identity determines behavior. Eventually, you stop forcing discipline. It becomes who you are. And that's the real goal. Not temporary motivation. Not emotional highs. But becoming the type of person who does what needs to be done without negotiating with themselves. And let me warn you, as you grow, the pressure will increase. More responsibility, more expectations, more isolation. And the scary part? Nobody can walk it for you. No mentor, no speaker, no video. At some point, the voice has to become yours. You have to decide who you are when it's hard, because life will keep testing that answer again and again and again. See, discipline isn't about punishment. Discipline is about respect. Respect for your future. Respect for your time. Respect for your potential. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is power. When you trust yourself, you move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. You stop begging for validation because you already know who you are. And that's dangerous in the best way, because now you're no longer controlled by opinions. You don't need applause. You don't need approval. You don't need permission. You've already decided. And decided people are hard to stop. Undecided people look for motivation. Decided people look for work. And work doesn't care about feelings. Work only responds to effort. Let me tell you something that will change how you see discipline. Discipline is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. Consistently. Most people are busy, but not effective. They move a lot, but go nowhere. Why? Because they never slowed down long enough to build structure. Discipline creates structure. Structure creates freedom. Read that again. And the scary part? Nobody can walk it for you. No mentor. No speaker. No video. At some point, the voice has to become yours. You have to decide who you are when it's hard, because life will keep testing that answer again and again and again. See, discipline isn't about punishment. Discipline is about respect. Respect for your future. Respect for your time. Respect for your potential. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is power. When you trust yourself, you move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. You stop begging for validation because you already know who you are. And that's dangerous in the best way, because now you're no longer controlled by opinions. You don't need applause. You don't need approval. You don't need permission. You've already decided. And decided people are hard to stop. Undecided people look for motivation. Decided people look for work. And work doesn't care about feelings. Work only responds to effort. Let me tell you something that will change how you see discipline. Discipline is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. Consistently. Most people are busy, but not effective. They move a lot, but go nowhere. Why? Because they never slowed down long enough to build structure. Discipline creates structure. Structure creates freedom. Read that again. The more disciplined you become, the more freedom you earn. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from last-minute panic. Freedom from living reactively. Undisciplined people react to life. Disciplined people design it. And designing a life takes patience. You don't see results immediately. You don't get rewarded quickly. Sometimes you do everything right, and nothing changes at first. That's where faith in the process is tested. Because results are delayed, but consequences are not. Skip discipline today, you feel fine. Skip discipline for months, now you're stuck. That's how life works. It doesn't punish instantly, collects interest, and so does discipline. Every disciplined choice compounds quietly. Nobody notices, nobody claps. But one day, the gap becomes obvious. The gap between those who stayed consistent and those who stayed comfortable. And people will call it luck. They'll say, "You changed. You're different. You got lucky." No, you paid a price. They refused to pay. You sacrificed things. They protected. You did the boring work. They avoided. And now they see the outcome without respecting the process. That's okay. You don't need them to understand, because you didn't do this for applause. You did this for alignment. Alignment between who you say you are and how you live. Because living out of alignment is exhausting. Saying one thing and doing another creates internal conflict. Discipline removes that conflict. It simplifies life. You stop negotiating. You stop overthinking. You stop arguing with yourself. You already know what needs to be done, so you do it. And when you live like that, confidence follows naturally. Not loud confidence. Not fake confidence. Quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. And quiet confidence is dangerous, because it doesn't seek attention, commands respect. Now let me say this clearly. This journey will cost you. It will cost you lazy mornings. It will cost you comfort. It may cost